In the shadow of World War II, when the fate of nations was written in fire and steel, one woman carved her name into history with the steady pull of a trigger. Lyudmila Mikhailovna Pavlichenko, born Lyudmila Belova on 12 July 1916 in Bila Tserkva, then part of the Russian Empire, would become the most feared female sniper in the world and one of the deadliest in all of history. With 309 confirmed kills, she was the embodiment of precision, courage, and unbreakable will. Her father, Mikhail Belov, was a locksmith from Petrograd and a decorated commissar in the Red Army, awarded the Order of the Red Banner. Her mother, Elena Trofimovna Belova, came from Russian nobility. The family moved to Kiev when Lyudmila was 14, where she grew into a fiercely competitive and athletic young woman, a tomboy who never backed down from a challenge. It was in Kiev that she joined the OOSAVIAKHIM shooting club, honing her skills with deadly accuracy. Her natural talent earned her the Voroshilov sharpshooter badge and a marksman certificate, achievements that hinted at the legend she would become. In 1932, at just 16, Lyudmila married Alexei Pavlichenko and gave birth to a son, Rostislav. But the marriage quickly dissolved, and Lyudmila returned home to her parents, dividing her time between night school and her job as a grinder at the Kiev Arsenal factory. By 1937, she had enrolled at Kiev University, studying history and dreaming of an academic life as a scholar and teacher. At the same time, she joined a military sniping school, where 6 months of rigorous training sharpened her into a weapon of precision. Then came June 1941. Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union, and 25-year-old Lyudmila, now in her 4th year at university, volunteered at the Odessa recruiting office. The registrar urged her to become a nurse, but she refused. With her record of sharpshooting and training certificates, she demanded to fight. Eventually, the Red Army accepted her as a sniper in the 25th Rifle Division, one of only 2,000 women to serve as snipers during the war, of whom barely 500 would survive. At first, she dug trenches, armed nothing but a grenade. But one day, when a comrade was wounded, he handed her his Mosin Nagant Model 1891 rifle. On 8 August 1941, near Bielyaivka, she took her first 2 lives, 2 Nazi officers, from a distance of 400 meters. It was her baptism of fire. During the siege of Odessa, she fought relentlessly, her kill count rising to 187. In August 1941, she was promoted to senior sergeant after surpassing 100 kills in a single month. She soon married another sniper, Alexei Kitsenko, but tragedy struck again. Kitsenko was mortally wounded by a mortar shell and died days later in hospital. When Odessa fell in October 1941, her unit was evacuated to Sevastopol on the Crimean Peninsula, where she continued her deadly work during the siege of Sevastopol. There, she trained dozens of snipers whose confirmed kills exceeded 100 enemy soldiers. By May 1942, she had been promoted to lieutenant, credited with 257 kills. Her total would eventually rise to 309, including 36 enemy snipers. Then fate intervened. In June 1942, a mortar shell exploded nearby, sending shrapnel into her face. Gravely injured, she was evacuated from Sevastopol by submarine under direct command from Soviet High Command. After a month of recovery in a Moscow hospital, she was deemed too valuable to risk in combat again. The Red Army turned its most lethal sniper into a symbol, a living legend. Known now as Lady Death, Pavlichenko became a public spokeswoman for the Red Army and trained the next generation of Soviet snipers. The Germans had a different name for her, the Russian bitch from hell. Her legend spread far beyond the battlefield. In 1942, Lyudmila Pavlichenko embarked on a diplomatic tour across the United States, Canada, and the UK. urging the Allies to open a second front in Europe. She became the first Soviet citizen ever received by a U.S. president when Franklin Roosevelt welcomed her to the White House. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt personally invited her to tour the country, where she addressed massive crowds and spoke of her experiences on the front lines. But the American press didn't know how to handle her. They called her the girl sniper, mocked her uniform, and asked absurdly sexist questions about her makeup, her skirt length, even her underwear. Calmly, she replied, "I am proud to wear the uniform of the legendary Red Army. It has been sanctified by the blood of my comrades who've fallen in combat with the fascists." To one reporter, she even challenged, "Would you like to try fighting a fascist sniper yourself?" In Chicago, she addressed thousands, her words cutting through the noise. "Gentlemen, I am 25 years old, and I have killed 309 fascist invaders. Don't you think, gentlemen, that you have been hiding behind my back for too long?" The crowd erupted in applause. During her tour, the U.S. government gifted her a Colt pistol, while in Toronto, she received a Winchester Model 70 rifle fitted with a telescopic sight, a weapon that still rests today in the Central Armed Forces Museum in Moscow. In Coventry, England, she accepted donations to fund 3 X-ray units for the Red Army, visiting factories and war-torn ruins as a symbol of defiance and unity. Promoted to officer rank, Pavlichenko never returned to combat. Instead, she became a sniper instructor, training hundreds until the war's end. In 1943, she was awarded the Gold Star of the Hero of the Soviet Union and the Order of Lenin twice. When the guns finally fell silent, Lyudmila returned to Kiev University to complete her studies in history. From 1945 to 1953, she worked as a research assistant for the Soviet Navy and later joined the Soviet Committee of War Veterans, continuing her service in another way through education, remembrance, and honor. Lyudmila Pavlichenko died of a stroke on 10 October 1974 at the age of 58. She was buried in Novodevichy Cemetery in Moscow beside her son Rostislav, who died in 2007. In 1976, the Soviet Union issued a commemorative stamp bearing her portrait, a final salute to a woman who, in life and death, stood unflinching against the storm of war. She was, and remains, Lady Death, the sniper who became a symbol of Soviet resistance and one of the most extraordinary women the world has ever known.